Alright guys, here we are, Unit 7. This will be Lecture 1. Make sure you watch these, bring your entrance ticket. Alright, we're going to go over the new frontier and a tragic ending. Okay, now, first thing we'll talk about here is John F. Kennedy. Alright, these are called the Camelot years. Right, 1960, the election of Kennedy brings hope and optimism to many Americans. He is the youngest ever elected president at this time. He brings in, youth. Obviously, people are energized, people are hopeful, and we think we're going to be extremely successful. He coins one of the most famous quotes of all time, and all of you have heard it. Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. We will talk more about that tomorrow. But there was a Kennedy mystique. All right. The family captures the imagination of the world, not just America, but the world. Okay, they're both young. Jackie Kennedy is his wife. They're charming. They're glamorous. That mystique, there's something about them that just everyone loves. Everyone wants to be, like the Kennedys. You can't exactly explain it. There's just something about them that everyone admires. His wife Jacqueline is a fashion icon. She is very different than most first ladies because, like I said, this is the youngest ever president that we've had. Well, not the youngest ever, but the youngest elected. And so obviously his wife is fairly young. She's very beautiful. So it's sort of like what goes on today when famous people, start wearing things or design things. Everybody wants to be like them. He has what is called the best and the brightest. These are his groups of advisors, his cabinet. Robert Kennedy is the most influential advisor, and that is significant because Robert Kennedy is, in fact, his brother. Okay, these are called the Camelot years. And now you have the New Frontier. JFK's program, similar to the New Deal, the Second New Deal, the Fair Deal, the Square Deal. His is called the New Frontier. All right, he's going to call on Americans to advance scientific achievement and space travel, fight ignorance, prejudice, and poverty. Remember, ignorance does not mean you're stupid. If I tell you to do something over and over and over and over and you don't do it, that's stupidity. If you don't do something because you've never been taught, you've never been told, that's ignorance. It's not the same thing. All right, you can learn to do something, but you got to be taught first. You all know what prejudice and poverty are. He's going to propose medical care for elderly, urban renewal. We're going to rebuild some of these torn down city streets, and educational aid or help for education. Now, there's going to be resistance by Republicans and Southern Democrats, and that resistance will make it difficult to achieve the results he wants. He lacks a mandate, basically because he did not win by a landslide. It was a very close election. He is not as popular as he should be in order to kind of push everything through. For example, if he had won like 90% of the vote, that means 90% of the country supports him, and he speaks for those 90%. Here he does not speak for a very big majority, so he's going to play it safe and not take any unnecessary risks when it comes to policy. All right, now, his economic program is based on deficit spending. Remember, just a general term is, a general definition is we're spending money that we borrow, or in a sense, we're spending money we don't have. He's going to boost our military spending by 20%. One reason why you're going to do that, obviously, is because of the Cold War. He's going to create the Peace Corps, which is designed to help combat foreign poverty in other countries and promote friendship abroad. And that's kind of a political thing as well, because if we can help some of these other countries, we can maybe prevent communism from spreading as well. You're going to have the Alliance for Progress, which offers economic and technical aid to Latin America as well. Okay, and also, and I didn't really touch on this, but New Frontier is called, Frontier generally things like the West or unexplored territory, but we've explored most of the world. And we talked on this last slide here, space travel, that New Frontier, that's what we're talking about. We're going places we've never been before, and he's going to really push that space program as well, which is why we call that the New Frontier. If you've seen Star Trek, you know what I'm talking about, but this is Stanley County. Most of you kids probably haven't seen Star Trek. All right, but in 1963, JFK starts to focus more on domestic issues. Domestic means here at home in America. He begins to advocate for civil rights in the South and the elimination of poverty. Okay, he introduces a civil rights bill to Congress, but he dies before it can be passed. His death actually kind of sparks that It's that much needed spark. It might not have passed, we don't know, but when his death occurred, they wanted his death to mean something, and they pushed that bill through. Okay, it's just going to help the civil rights for African Americans. Now we get to that new frontier stuff. 1962, he challenges America to be the first to reach the moon. He can't do it himself because he's not a scientist, so other people have to step up. Alan Shepard is going to be the first American in space. Not the first person in space, but he will be the first American in 1961. John Glenn becomes the first man ever to orbit the Earth. Okay, he's going to orbit the entire Earth. And then NASA's Apollo program achieves the goal of the moon landing on July 20th, 1969. Neil Armstrong, you've all heard of, will be the first man on the moon. We don't have time for conspiracy theories or anything. Sorry, guys. Okay. You can look here. Man walks on the moon. Astronauts land. Planner. American flag. Now, the Kennedy assassination, November 22nd, 1963, JFK is shot and killed in Dallas. The shots are fired from a Texas school book depository, or basically a place where you hold textbooks. And then his vice president, LBJ, or Lyndon B. Johnson, will become president. Lee Harvey Oswald, who is a former Marine, is going to be charged. We recover a rifle with his prints. He had previously lived in the Soviet Union, but we don't ever get to interview him or anything. Because before he goes to trial, he is killed by a man named Jack Ruby, which this is before he is shot. He's at the parade here, and we'll talk more about this in class as well. This, you can see, here's Jack Ruby. He's got his gun right here, and this is Lee Harvey Oswald. In the end, he gets killed, obviously. And this is Lyndon B. Johnson swearing in on the plane as JFK dies or passes away. Okay, now our unanswered questions. There's a lot of conspiracy theories, magic bullet, the grassy knoll. We're going to talk about those in class. You have the Warren Commission. Their job is to investigate this crime. They did determine that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone. And then years later, or more than 10, the House Select Committee on Assassinations is going to look into it because they believe that JFK was killed as a result of conspiracy. And they found that it was probably that 4 shots were fired and at least one from another gunman. So that basically kind of confirms a conspiracy. Okay, so make sure to bring your entrance ticket. This was a little longer than usual, but you'll be okay. It was just by about 3 minutes. Bring your entrance ticket so you can do your group work tomorrow. Okay, you guys have a great day.